Hey, yo, welcome back to Right at the Wire. Well, Oaklawn has opened, and this weekend they've got a late pick five, including the Tinsel Stakes. So let's get into it. So, leg one of the late pick five is race five, and this is races 5 through 9 at Oaklawn on Saturday's card. It's a maiden claimer for 20,000, run at 6 furlongs for 2-year-old fillies, and as you might expect, this race is not high on quality, and there's a lot of ways to go. I'm kind of leaning towards the bigger barns because I think they probably have a little more potential to fire a good race. Just to get going with them, Global Risk is of the first is probably the most likely to fire, mainly because he's trained by Brad Cox. And he does have Christian Torres in the irons, and Brad Cox has won his first 3 out of 5. So the barn is clicking, and it is a little bit of a red flag to see a Brad Cox go in for a claim right off the bench for the first time start, especially as a 2-year-old. So that lends to the intrigue, I guess you could say, and the price is probably going to be too short, especially for a horse parked out in the 12 hole. But you can't deny the connections, so we're going to throw in Global Risk. Babe in the Woods looks the most logical. Seems to have starting to figure it out. Looked to move, had a little bit of a step forward in a much higher class than here, and has been running at bigger tracks, and so I think the drop in class, this should meet this one right between the eyes. It's Kenny McPeak. I got Leparoux in the saddle, so I think Babe in the Woods really logical. Should be coming from off the pace. A lot of times these races are won that way, so that 11 is a little bit of a concern, but I think this horse will probably be coming from mid-pack somewhere. Big Bolt she has been knocking on the door, and the concern I have is I don't see any progression. This horse just seems to run the same race every time, and it just isn't good enough. So you do kind of have to wonder. The drop in class probably is going to help in that regard, but it always seems to look good coming down the stretch, but there's always somebody better, and so I just kind of wonder about the will to win, although I think this one has a shot in this field as good as anybody. Chip Shortage is a second-time starter for Steve Asmussen, and ran a creditable first race, but with the kind of improvement you can expect from Steve Asmussen in the second start, would likely put this one right up at the top. So we'll throw Chip Shortage in there. Choctaw Grace is coming from Ernie Witt, who's a Arkansas barn and trainer, and he puts out a good product at Oaklawn. And this one is cutting back in distance a little bit. It's been running at 7 furlongs in at Roots, so I think that should certainly help, and has been running in some good class races, and so I think the drop in class is logical to get this one the win. So if you had to nail me down on who I like in this race, I like Choctaw Grace and I like Babe in the Woods. I think those are the two most logical. But being a 2-year-old maiden claimer, we certainly have to spread. Leg 2 is the 6th race. It's a maiden special weight at 6 furlongs for 2-year-old fillies, and this is another one that's a pretty wide open race. Tale of Labie is trained by Chris Hartman, who's having a customary good meet at Oaklawn, and represents probably the lone speed in this race. And her debut effort showing lone speed, she hung in there pretty well, didn't get the lead last time, and that may have attributed to the disappointing second start. But a lot of them are suffering from that, where they had a nice beginning and then kind of let down in the next start. So being the lone speed, I think this one may have a little bit of an edge. Going to have to run significantly better, but you can't deny the barn, and this is the kind of race where it just might be won on the front end, given the fact that some of them are still working on some things to mature. Ruby Queen is another one who had a nice start at Saratoga in the debut at 88-1, and then, or 38-1 rather, and in a pretty good field, but didn't build on it in the next one. So, and really, it was at Keeneland, and I really couldn't find an explanation for why she didn't run better. It just looked like she just didn't feel like it that day. So I think there's some talent here, and with a little freshening, and could very well rebound from that. Bang Bang Fury is one that has run into some pretty good competition. West Sunset in the debut, and then West Omaha in the next one. It's important to note that Bang Bang Fury was the favorite in the debut over Western Sunset. So this one has some talent. Disappointed in the second start, but showed enough in the first one to tell me that can rebound from that. Donnie Von Himmel is having a really good meet at Remington Park right now. So the only thing I wonder about is why didn't he? Maybe he brought this one down here because of the purse size. You'd have to believe. So I don't think it's necessarily him sending his JV to Oaklawn. So I like Bang Bang Fury in the spot. 10 holes got a little bit to overcome here, but appears capable. Cleopatra Celine is a puzzler to me, and I'll tell you why. That last race she ran against Intricate, not Intricate, but her last race, she was closing very well in the stretch, but I was looking for, and I really wanted to see if this horse just wasn't in time or has second-itis. And I strongly suspect that this one has second-itis because in the stretch, once she got up near the leader, she appeared to stop running because she was passed pretty readily by another horse. Now, maybe it was just the other horse was better, but it just had that look to me like she had every chance to win it and couldn't quite, and just didn't do it. So it was a marked improvement over her debut, that last one, and if she runs back to that, it's good enough to win here, and we're certainly going to use her, without a doubt. But I don't know. I just got a feeling that this one's going to run underneath again. That's my feeling. Now, from the firsters, Big Calhouna looks pretty logical to me, being by Maximus Mischief, gets 23% first time out. The tab looks pretty good, shows some speed. Would have liked to have seen a 5 furlong work, but nonetheless, there are some signs here. He's got Julian Leparoux aboard, so I think they have some expectations. So the Big Calhouna is one from the firsters I think is to think about. Midshipman's Dance, I mean, I had to cut it down to 5, but Midshipman's Dance has the kind of tab that tells me this one's ready to run. Had a number of 5 furlong works consecutively. I'm just not as sold on the connections to get a firster, but if you want to really spread, that's one you might want to think of including. If I had to pick a horse I think will win this race, I think Bang Bang Fury makes the most sense. But it is a pretty wide open affair, and among 2-year-old maidens, what can you expect? So I think we definitely have to spread in this race. Third leg of the late pick 5 is yet another maiden special weight, 115,000, run at 6 furlongs for 3-year-olds and up, and this is it's a interesting race in that it's kind of like. A lot of these in here are sort of reclamation projects, kind of like the last one. They did pretty well to start and then just sort of haven't built on it. To that end, I mean, Raging is a firster, and because he hasn't run yet, he obviously has a little bit more appeal than some of these others. Trained by Brad Cox, who's just lights out right now. This one has all the markings of one who's going to run right out of the gate. So we use Raging for sure. Of the ones who have run already, Mr. Keating to me probably looks the best. I think the little bit of a cutback in distance should suit well. Coming into the third start, looks to be building a little bit. So I think Mr. Keating makes a lot of sense in here. Then you have the other two that there's a lot, the big schism in class in this race. And so that's why we've only got 4. Wicked, again, has had a lot of bites at the apple. And I just wonder, this is a full to Wicked Halo, who obviously was a hell of a sprinter. But this one's had a lot of bites at the apple and just hasn't closed the deal. Getting back to 6 furlongs is definitely a positive for this one. But I just can't like, especially Steve Asmussen, who's had this many starts and hasn't broken the maiden yet. But class wise is a fit, and I would think it would be more. They could go either way. They could put this one on the lead or try to rate just off the leaders. But I'm not really that high on this horse, but I think class-wise is a fit. Pineland is the other front runner who I think is probably a little more appealing. Has shown some good early lick, and I think has that look like maybe wants to move forward. Trained by Lindsay Schultz, she's a very solid trainer, as we know, and I think Pineland, could very well get on the lead and be gone. It's that kind of race. We'll see what Raging does as a first-time starter, but Mr. Keating and Pineland, to me, look like the most logical in here. Leg 4 is the 8th race. It's an optional claimer for $50,000, non-winners of 3 lifetime. It's 6 furlongs for 3-year-olds and up. And this is another race where there's some reclamation projects in it. And there seems to be a bit of a fissure in terms of class, I think. We'll start with Almanac, number 9. This one you may remember from last year from the Derby Trail. Bob Baffert had this one for a little while and didn't pan out. Has moved to a couple of trainers, and now the coach has him, Dwayne Lucas. And we'll see if he can get some run out of this one. I think should be on the engine. Going to be a little tough coming from the 9 hole, but this one has the back class to show that if he fires well out of the gate, should be in good position and could very well wire this field, entirely possible. Stayed in for half, has been on the turf for the last couple for Steve Asmussen, but is another one that has back class on dirt to show that that he belongs here. And a lot of times Asmussen will move him from the turf to the dirt with good results. So I think stayed in for half makes sense here. Nautical Star made a little bit of noise earlier in the year and has been moving forward pretty well prior to the layoff. The last race probably just needed a race. Really didn't fire very well at all, but I would expect second off the layoff that this one will be in good order, good form, and will be a contender in this race. Shoot probably is the most appealing to me. Has been running against much better, and is now second off the claim for Eddie Keneally, and he's 36% at that angle. And he's got Martin Chuan as the jockey, who's been riding extremely well. I believe he's 5 in the money out of 6, 3 wins, 2 seconds. So that all those things point to what I believe would be a good race. The only thing that's a little troubling is that he is up for a tag where none of the others are. But all signs indicate that Shoot would be the one to beat here, I think. The 5th and final leg of the late pick 5 is the Tinsel Stakes. It's an ungraded stakes run at 1 1/8 for 3-year-olds and up, and I think this one's pretty straightforward. Strong Quality to me looks like the one to beat. You are going to get some pace pressure from Speed Bias more than likely, but I think Strong Quality being to the inside just has a little more hops, let's say, and I think Speed Bias has been when stepping up into higher company is kind of fallen short. This is a little bit of class relief, but having Strong Quality in this race, I think, nullifies Speed Bias's chances to win. Basically, it's who's playing for second, in my opinion. There's a couple in here. War Campaign and Seize the Night, I think, will just kind of keep running and should be in end up underneath. I'm not too keen on the closers. Double Crown, generally when runs against better company, doesn't show up. And Dennington is off Lasix. And as we saw over the course of the Derby Trail, whenever Dennington runs without Lasix, he's not quite as good. So I kind of have a feeling that that'll be the case here. He could still clunk up, and if you want to put him for underneath, I wouldn't blame you. But I don't see him as a logical win candidate. In my opinion, this race, it's Strong Qualities to lose. So here's the ticket for the late pick 5, and we're going to have to spread in these first 3 maidens in particular. Leg 1, race 5, we're going to go 4, 5, 11, and 12. Race 6, leg 2, 2, 8, 9, and 10. Race 3, leg 3, race 7, 3, 7, 8, and 9. And leg 4, race 8, 4, 5, and 8. And we can lean a little bit more towards Nautical Star and Shoot, I would say, if you want to cut it down a little bit. And then we're going to single strong quality in the Tinsel Stakes. I think it's his race to lose and looks like the strongest bet to me of any in that field. So 4 times 4 times 4, 16 times 4 is 96 times 3 is, what am I doing? 4 times 4 is 16 times 4 is 64 times 3 is 192. That's a $96 ticket on a 50-cent base. Check the math just to make sure, but that's what it's looking like. So if we could trudge through those maidens, I think this pick 5 may offer some really good value for us. And we've got a single with strong quality in the Tinsel. So we can get to the first 3 maidens. I think we got a shot at this one, and it should pay pretty well. So I hope our analysis helps you with your own wagering strategy, of course, as always, and I wish you the best of luck. And please like and subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our community, and thanks for coming by. We'll have more postings as we conclude the thoroughbred season, so be on the lookout for those. I'll talk to you soon, and until then, be well.